only 10 days in to the new year, and 9 out of 10 people have already fallen off and are no longer going after their dreams and goals. Is that you right now? Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Champion Life Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Tucker. Hope you're having an incredible 2025 year, friends, family. Today, I want to talk to you about, is your why big enough? See, one of the things that I've realized over the years working with people, coaching people, and even my own personal development, my own goal journeys is, man, how important having a big why is when you're trying to go out there and do big things. So let me ask you a question, friends. Maybe you're driving right now, maybe you're walking on a treadmill, working out, or maybe you're just hanging out at your house and you're listening to this podcast. How is your 2025 going? Are you reaching the goals that you set for yourself? Are you in motion? Are you having progress on becoming that new you this year? See, my last podcast was all about new year, new me, right? Like, how do we take our life to the next level? I talk a lot about that on this podcast. This is all about what I like to call creating your champion life, right? You hear me say that over and over and over again, and the reason why is I firmly believe in this statement right here. And I heard this years ago and it just stuck with me. It was this, is that when we look at our life, okay, and we look at the things that we need to do, the reality is that perfect practice makes perfect. It's not practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. So when we have daily habits and rituals that make us our very best, all of a sudden we look out a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months later, and we have a completely different life. See, I remember years ago when I was getting results that I didn't necessarily want, and then all of a sudden, when a mentor came into my life, Jay Meyer, and he said, Curt, listen, the reason why you're not getting the results is because your habits and your rituals are all messed up. You want to make a lot of money in business, but yet you are not putting God first. And that's why your marriage is struggling and you don't have peace and all these other things that were going on in my life. And so, friends, creating a champion life, a life of abundance, a life of freedom, a life of victory where you're winning in every single area, it begins with a vision, right? And we talk a lot about a vision. So hopefully you have a vision for 2025. And if you don't, I want to encourage you, don't go another day, don't go another hour, don't go another minute without figuring out, what do you want? What do you want to happen this year in 2025? Because if you're listening to this right now, more than likely it's still early on in the year and it's not too late to stop and think to yourself for a second, what do I want? What do I want more of in 2025? What do I want more of in my marriage? What do I want more of in my health and fitness? What do I want more of in my finances? And all of a sudden, when you begin to start taking time to think about what you want more of and you get clarity on what it is that you want, it makes it a lot easier to have now the strategies to get there. See, when I teach goal setting, I teach three different things. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how then are you going to get there? And we can set the strategies. And so today, friends, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the importance of your why. So I want to ask you this question. What is a major goal that you want to accomplish right now in your life? Take a second and think about it. Is it you want to lose 15 or 20 pounds this year? Maybe it's 50. I got some people that I'm working with that they want to lose 100 this year. I think that's awesome. Is it you want to double your income or maybe just even a $10,000 raise from what you made last year? A lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with, we're always talking about how can we double our income? Or is it, man, my marriage just really wasn't on the forefront of this past year because I was very busy with my career, very busy with the kids, very busy with whatever. And so I really want to create a marriage that has peace and harmony and intimacy in it. Whatever your goal is, if you're clear on what you want, and you have set some things in motion on how to get there, on the things that you were going to do. Maybe it was to go to the gym 3 to 4 or 5 times a week. It was to, hey, I'm not going to have any alcohol in January. Hey, I'm going to begin to start praying with my wife on a daily basis. Let me ask you a question. Are you following through? Are you doing what you said you were going to do? See, there's a stat that says that over 90% of New Year resolutions fail by January 10th. Only 10 days in to the new year, and 9 out of 10 people have already fallen off and are no longer going after their dreams and goals. Is that you right now? Be honest with yourself. Are the things that you said you were going to do going into 2025, are you still doing them? Are you still working towards those goals or not? Yes or no? There's no judgment on my part, friends. I'm a coach. I'm here to help. I want to help you go next level in your life and your marriage and your business. But sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to just look and we have to say, why am I not getting what I want? See, I believe in coaching. I believe in investing and having somebody keep us accountable. I know it's worked wonders for myself. I know it works wonders for my wife, and it works wonders for the people that we work with. But even with that, the people that we work with aren't perfect. So over the years, there's one common theme that I have figured out that is the differentiator of why people are really having success and following through on their goals and why they're not. And it's the word why. When the why is so big in a person's goal, the how becomes easy, because now there's this whole method that begins to start taking place, right? Like when we set a goal, we're really pushing ourselves to do stuff that we're not comfortable doing, right? Where it's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm motivated. I'm just going to go make it happen. And we do it for a little bit, but what happens when that motivation runs out? See, when we have a strong enough why, when we have this multiple reasons of why it's a must, that we begin to change and we begin to do the things that we said we were going to do so that we can get that goal that we said that we wanted. Now, all of a sudden, not only are we being pushed, but something magically begins to happen in the universe where the goal that we have just begins to naturally almost pull itself towards us closer. And the goal actually becomes easier because of this big why that we've established. And now, when typically we would maybe default to, quitting, we would default to not being consistent in what we said we were going to do. Naturally, now, because our why is so strong, we persevere through. See, that's a strong word, friends. The word perseverance, which is used multiple times in scripture, by the way, in the beginning of James chapter 1, where it talks about perseverance. And perseverance develops what? It develops our faith. And all these things begin to start happening, friends, when we begin to start developing perseverance in our life. The muscles begin to grow. See, if you go to the gym, over and over and over again, day after day, week after week, month after month. And you're putting in the work and you're putting those muscles under tension and creating resistance. It is a scientific fact that you will break that muscle down. And as long as you are then putting the right nutrition in your body, you will naturally begin to rebuild that muscle, and it will be rebuilt stronger than it was before. So, friend, I want to let you know right now today, I hope this word right here encourages you, is that what you're going through, if you do it in the right way, you are going to grow through it. Right? When you get your mind right, when you put in the work, when you have a strong enough why towards the goal or the goals that you have set, if you will just stay the course and never quit, you will be stronger than you was a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. In 2025 will be a completely different year for you. So let's talk a little bit more about your why. If you were to take a second right now, friend, and you were to write down your biggest goal that you have right now, and you were to write down 3 reasons why it's a must that you accomplish the goal, what would those reasons be? Go ahead, take a second, hit pause, and write them down. See, I remember a time when for years I had said, I want to write a book. I want to write a book. I want to write a book, right? This book right here in front of me, the Champion Life Playbook. But for years, it was a concept in my mind. And then I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew the stories that I wanted to share with people that I would hope would encourage them and would inspire them. I wanted to tell people about my successes, but even more, I wanted to tell them about my messes, the areas of my life where I didn't get it right so that they could get it right, so they didn't have to experience the failures that I had and the heartache and the things that I caused my family and all those things. And so I had this book in my heart and I had talked about it over and over and over again. And then one day when I was meeting with my coach, Riley Meek at the time, and he basically just flat out asked me, he said, Curt, listen, why have you not wrote the book? And I gave him some excuses. I gave him some reasons, right? Same thing, excuses and reasons. And he said, listen, here's the deal, man. Your why's just not big enough. And man, like at first it was kind of like a, ugh. But you know what? I was paying this guy a lot of money each month to tell me the truth about myself. See, I had given somebody else permission to tell me the truth about what he saw in my life that was working and what he saw in my life that wasn't working. And he basically said, your why's not big enough. He said, let me give you an example. He said, Curt, if I had a gun to your kids' heads right now, do you think that you would begin to write that book immediately if that's what it would take for those kids to be safe? And I said, absolutely. He said, well, then think about that. How easy is that? He goes, or if I was holding them hostage, and he used a very like example. I don't even know the word I want to use for it, but it was like, man, it really got me to think. It was like, hey, if 30 days from now, I said, you must have this book completely written and done, or your kids die. Could you write the book? And it was like an absolute yes, easy, no problem. Give me a week, I'll have it done, right? It was a different frame of mindset that he began to start getting me to think about. And I want you to think about, whatever your goal is in that way right now, because that now became a strong enough why to think about that for a second. Man, like if I had to get this done, whatever it is that you would need to do, be consistent each day going to the gym for 30 to 45 minutes. And if you didn't, X was going to happen, right? That you wouldn't want to have happen in your life. Something that you're just like, man, you couldn't fathom happening, right? That would be a motivator. If you didn't pray with your wife, men, on a daily basis, taking 30 seconds, if you didn't make that extra sales call or 2 or 3, even though the last 5 people told you no, that's just business. That just happens, right? If you didn't take that cold shower each day, something that you didn't want to do, whatever it is, fill in the blank. If you didn't save X amount of dollars or pay off, the debt that you said you was going to pay off, whatever it is, you've got to attach such a strong meaning, a strong purpose, a strong why behind what you want. And when you do that, you will all of a sudden have this superpower in yourself to do things that you never thought was possible. And so, guess what happened, friends? I literally began to say, okay, I've got to write this book. Now, he gave me 90 days. He didn't give me a month. One of the things I love to do when I help people set goals is I love to say, let's look at the next 90 days. Let's look at January, February, and March. If you want to lose 20 pounds, you want to, begin to increase your income by so much, pay off so much debt, take your relationship to the next level. What are the things that you are committed to doing on a daily basis, weekly basis, or whatever that are going to move you closer to that goal and not further away? And now all of a sudden, when you have conviction in your heart, you have committed fully to the goal, and you have a strong enough why and a purpose, now all of a sudden, instead of you being a 1 out of 10 people that actually reach the goal, now your odds jump to a 9 out of 10. Because the reality is that's the difference. It's been said that only 3 to 7% of people actually set goals and write them down and review them every single day. And those are the same 3 to 7% that actually accomplish goals. So think about that for a second. Just one little tweak. See, I believe, friends, that sometimes we're just a millimeter away difference from being a goal setter to being a goal getter, where 1 out of 10 people by January 10th have still kept going, reaching their goals. What happened to the other 9? If they could have just made one little shift, now all of a sudden things would be completely different. My golfers out there, right? My men and women. I don't want to just say men golfers, because my wife Rachel, she loves to golf. We now golf all the time together. It's something that we've created in our marriage, where it's not me just leaving her and going out with the boys for hours and playing golf and being away, but now we get to go, and we generally, when the weather is nice, we'll play at least once a week together and then go to dinner and stuff. But I heard an example one time of, in the game of golf, if you hit the ball right down the middle of the fairway and now you're trying to get to the green and you're 150 out, for me, I'm going to use a 9 iron or an 8 iron in that situation. And all of a sudden I hit my shot, and instead of landing on the green, I'm 30 yards to the left, way off base, or 30 yards to the right if I slice it. Well, what happened? It looks like, man, that was a horrible shot, and I'm way far away from my target and what I was really aiming for, and I am. But the reality is, really, I was only about a millimeter away. That's small of a difference, because what made that ball land 30 yards away from where I was really trying to hit it was when I actually struck the ball. Just missing by a millimeter, now changed the trajectory of where that ball went. And instead of landing directly on the green, it landed 30 yards to the left or right. But what a great belief system that could be in your life, that sometimes when you think you are so far away from the life that you want, from the marriage that you want, from the fitness level that you want, from the business and the income level that you want, instead of you really being so far away, what if you just believed in your heart that you were only a millimeter shift away? That just a couple little things that you could shift in how you were doing things. Now, all of a sudden, when you begin to just change things just a little bit, and now all of a sudden, a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, you have a totally different life. Wow, that's powerful. See, I bought into that belief system, by the way, years ago, friends, and it absolutely changed my life. All right. What if this faith thing really works? What if I can't do it all on my own, and I begin to start believing in this guy named Jesus that I've never saw, and I don't even understand how somebody could love me that I've never met and I've never seen, but I just started believing, right? And I began to start opening my Bible, and I began to start reading it on a daily basis. And I began to start journaling and being self aware of the thoughts that were going through my mind all the time. And I began to start renewing my mind and beginning to start believing things that were going to help me go next level versus keeping me suppressed and depressed and everything else. And I began to start realizing, holy cow, what if I begin to shift in my marriage and start praying for my wife on a daily basis versus complaining about her? Why she doesn't do this and why she don't do that and why she does this and why she does that, right? Instead, just praying for her, and then begin to start praying with her, and then begin to start doing weekly date nights together. And in my fitness, being disciplined and beginning to cut things out just one at a time. In my business, being disciplined and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to actually follow through on what I said I was going to do. And now all of a sudden the results begin to come. Even giving, even being generous and beginning to tithe and say, you know what? This isn't mine. God's the ultimate provider. I can return back to him 10% of whatever he blesses to me. And all of a sudden, seeing just absolute financial abundance happen in Rachel and I's lives, beginning to invest in ourselves with coaches, even though it didn't look like it made sense on paper. Sometimes even putting it on a credit card and saying, you know what, I'm going to make an investment. And all of a sudden now we begin to start making more money. And now all of a sudden, we can not only pay that, that card off, but now we were making more money to do more things that we wanted to do. See, guys, it's a belief system. It's a mindset. Everything that you do will boil down to your mindset. Everything you do will boil down to, hey, do I believe that this is possible or not? Because once you believe that something is possible, you will begin to start thinking differently. You will begin to start acting differently. You'll even begin to feel differently about something. And here's what I know is when we begin to get results in something, friends, our belief system grows, our excitement grows. We want to actually put more time and energy into that particular thing. So guess what? Many of you might be in your marriage just holding on. I'm sure some marriages out there who are listening to this, you're absolutely thriving right now. And man, I love that. All right. But the fact is that some of you are struggling right now in your marriage in a couple different areas. Friends, I've been there. I know what that's like. But I tell you what, there's a shift that happens when you begin to look at the person in the mirror and say, what do I need to fix about me? And while I'm fixing me and I'm praying to God about how can I fix me, I'm going to begin to pray for my spouse and not tell God all the things that God needs to fix in them, but to pray for my spouse and say, God, if there's anything that's hindering my spouse from he or she being their very best for the kingdom and for our family, then I pray that you would fix that in them. But we don't make that decision. The good Lord does. And all of a sudden, when I begin to do that, Rachel and I's marriage began to grow and become better and better and better. And here's the deal, friends, is it went from worse, horrible, broke, busted, and disgusted, I like to say, to good, to better, to great. And you know what? Now that I believe we've got a great marriage, now we're even working on a world-class marriage. All right. So whether it's your life, it's your fitness, it's your marriage, it's your business, or whatever, friends, your why is going to be so significant in you making that goal happen this year in 2025. So I want to leave you with this today, friends. Make a decision to create a strong why in the goals that you've set for yourself this year. Don't leave this podcast. I'm making it a short one today that I hope that you will take 5 minutes as soon as you jump off of this and you will say, okay, here's what I said I wanted to do. But you know what? I said this is what I wanted to do. And here's how I was going to do it. I was going to go to the gym. I was going to read the Bible daily. I was going to make some extra calls. I was going to pay off that debt. But you know what? I really didn't write down multiple reasons why I was going to do this and I was going to see it through all the way to the end and do that. Now, friends, here's the deal. If you struggle with that, if you struggle with getting clarity, if you struggle with the right strategies and they're not working, or you struggle with the why, then you might need a community to be with. And I end every podcast with this because I understand that there's no way that I would be where I'm at today if I wouldn't have been so blessed with having some people to walk alongside with me. And so I want to give you an invitation to join our brotherhood or to even join my wife's mastermind if you're a woman listening to this, because our heart is to serve people and to help them go next level and create what we like to call this champion life. So if you're like, hey, I need some help, I need somebody to walk alongside with me, send us a DM, a simple coaching to Rachel and I. We'll set up a call with you. It's absolutely free. We'll spend 45 minutes with you. And I can guarantee you this, at the end of the 45 minutes, your life will be better regardless of whether you say yes or no. See, I believe that leaders invite people on the journey with them. They don't force anybody to do anything. I'm inviting you to come along and take this journey with us in 2025. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So anyhow, friends, I love you. I want you to know I'm rooting for you, that 2025 would be the best year you've ever had. And we'll see you on the next episode. God bless.